good afternoon and welcome everyone. We have so many, like literally so many new faces here inside our community, and I am very much looking forward to spending this afternoon with you. Today, we have a special guest with us, Maisie Smith-Lovett. She's a holistic health practitioner and a trauma healer who helps high-achieving women heal from the inside out so they can release stored stress, restore balance to their gut and hormones, and finally feel safe, energized, and empowered in their bodies. As a founder of MSL Holistic Wellness Coaching, Maisie specializes in lasting weight loss and symptom relief by addressing the real root causes, unprocessed trauma, chronic stress, and nervous system dysregulation. With a background that bridges science and somatic healing, Maisie's approach goes beyond diets and protocols, and she helps women uncover why their bodies are holding on to weight, fatigue, anxiety, inflammation, and then guides them through a personalized healing process that reconnects them with their identity, self-worth, and inner power. So whether it's bloating, burnout, brain fog, or feeling stuck in survival mode, Maisie's clients experience transformation that's not just physical, but emotional, energetic, and lifelong. She's on a mission to change the conversation around health and help women reclaim their body as a source of strength and power, not struggle. So welcome, Maisie. I am so excited to have our conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for being here with me and like being able to collaborate with me. Like I'm super excited. Thank you for being able to share space.
Absolutely. I am so excited to have you here. As someone that's also like super passionate about healing root cause and working specifically with women. So like I said, we have a ton of new faces here in the community. For those of you that are new and just joining, please stick around. We have a super exciting conversation planned for you today. So Maisie, I am kind of curious. How did you get into this space of energetic trauma healing?
Oh, the long story.
Do you have like a medium story?
Yeah, we got a medium. I'll share the medium.
Okay.
So basically, back in 2014, I became a personal trainer, and I was kind of like where you were, like this isn't enough. There's more to it than this. I was going through my own struggles. I had an autoimmune disease that didn't have a name. They never gave it a name. It was just a no name.
Serious.
Yeah, serious, because it mimicked everything else, including MS symptoms. So they were like, we don't know what it is, but like here's a pill for all these things. And I was like, I don't want this. And they were like, well, you're gonna live and die on these medications. And I think we had gone through like 12 medications at this point. So becoming a personal trainer, I was like, you know what? I'm a native, like I'm Native American. We got native roots here of food equals medicine. And so that was my journey. I was like, I'm gonna reverse this because I'm not gonna live on this. You're not gonna tell me these things. So I'm gonna prove it to you. Left out of that doctor's appointment and never looked back. So that was back in 2010. So 2014, personal trainer, holistic nutrition, all these things. And when I got pregnant in 2016, I was like, these are category C drugs. Like I was already pregnant and I was like, well, we're just gonna quit them. So I quit cold turkey and dove even deeper into like, how do we reverse now? Like, what is really going on? What's underneath my symptoms? Because the nutrition was helping and it was helping day to day where I had a lot of pain reduced. I was able to get up out of bed. I was able to walk. I was able to like live my life, but I didn't feel me. So going through that and going through the issues with having an autoimmune and my body trying to fight against me in pregnancy, I dove even deeper. Trauma became the key piece. So, trauma, and what I tell my clients now, symptoms equal stories, stories equal beliefs, beliefs results. So, if we trace all this back, the symptoms are speaking stories that they've been trying to tell you something is going on. Now, for you, if you're not in tune with your body, it might be kind of silent in the beginning. You may not even notice it. Oh, I just noticed this one little thing. It's not a big deal. But sometimes they get louder and louder. They start speaking in other places. That's what my body was doing back then. And it wasn't until it brought me to the doctor's office and they were like, oh, well, here's your formula. This is not my formula. This is my formula: food, mindset, and trauma. And then what do we do with that? So that dove me into a lot of the energetics, a lot of the being able to read people's, emotions, and, your organs hold different emotions. But there's a standard. Like typically resentment would be like liver, gallbladder area. Well, I've seen clients with resentment in their right ovary, you know, or in their uterus, or in different organs of where you're holding those things. So the more work that I did with that, and noticing my clients at the time who went from 10 to 20 pounds in the 3 months that we would work together with weight loss, became 20 to 40 of changing little to nothing. And a lot of it was the emotional stress, the trauma, that everything that their body was holding on to. So then I just was like, hey, we're going to bring even more trauma healing, and this is going to be the fancy. So that is what brought me to Regulate and Rise, which is what I now do. Regulate your nervous system, rise to your fullest potential.
Right. No, that is amazing. So that much, well, I mean, it's going back to your story and how you got here and the doctor's solution is what everyone is taught to believe. Like you have something that's wrong, you go to the doctors, they give you a pill and they tell you your labs are fine. It is just wild. I've never met anyone that wasn't able to get some sort of diagnosis, because even if they just say, hey, you have fibromyalgia, that it's something.
Yeah.
But that
Well,
is
they
crazy.
gave
They
me
can tell you.
fibromyalgia too, but they kept saying you have a no-name autoimmune. It's mimicking Hashimoto's and this one and that one. And I was like, so what is it?
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, and then they give you a pill, or they're like, here, this is just the way that it is. But you and I both know that is not the way it has to be.
Yeah.
And I wish, like with all of my heart, that more women specifically knew that it's not the way that it has to be. Like
Mhm.
we don't have to accept a sentence of taking pills forever, and we don't have to live with chronic pain forever. But it's huge that you're seeing that this is impacts their ability to lose weight.
Yes. Well, and think of it like this, it's emotional weight. So the
Right.
pressure to grow up. So if we look at childhood, you've got the pressure to perform. I got to be
Mm-hmm.
my best because I get recognition from my parents when I do my best, when I achieve something.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not being seen and heard other times. Maybe they were molested at a young age and they had gone through, oh, I'm in shame. This was, and then the typical question, even when you do go to tell somebody, well, what were you wearing? Well, what
Oh
was,
yeah.
and now I, whoever is the blame. And that was my story. And it was like, did I deserve this? I didn't deserve that. Then going through, abusive relationships, things started to shift there. And it's like, am I not good enough? So we start adopting these beliefs. And even if you were never told something specific in a belief, it became your identity, it became who you were, it became a part of you. And when it becomes a part of you, your body holds that as memory, as storage. It's no different than at the end of the day, you go to bed, you're replaying all your events from the day, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what that meant. That's what that meant. Hindsight's 2020. Is it? Or did we just create some parallel to it? And that's typically where your body is going to start holding on to stories, beliefs, all the pressure to perform, the pressure to be somebody that they want you to be. And it changes the way your DNA, your structure, your body, your fascia holds. It gets tight, it braces for impact. Is the other shoe going to drop? Did somebody say something? You didn't like my nails? You didn't like my hair? Maybe I should fix that.
Women are have a tendency to go to fitness classes, and a lot of women, I think, have a tendency to choose something like yoga or Pilates. And if you've gone to one of those classes, you've often probably heard the instructor say something about, "Oh, you're releasing emotions that are in your hips." And that can often, it truly can be tied to trauma that is stored in your fascia. But I think a lot of people don't understand that it directly impacts your DNA, which is huge. I mean, that is the way that your body is functioning.
Yeah. Yes. So it changes the way that you feel about yourself, right? That DNA is so how you feel dictates what you eat. What you eat dictates what you feel. So if you're feeling funky, you're feeling inflamed, you're feeling bloated, you're feeling brain fog, you're going to create that reality in your body as well. Again, beliefs equal results. There's
Mhm.
no difference in why people go through and they get placebos and some of these things. They're like, oh, we didn't give you anything. You created the possibility of healing and you made that for yourself. And so when it comes to trauma, like hips specifically, right? Your hip area and your pelvic floor area is where you hold your worth, your power. And your worth is how you feel about yourself. Am I good enough? Am I adequate enough? That doesn't come from external factors, that comes from you. So a lot of the work that I do with my clients is rebuilding you. You.
Mhm.
As moms, we go through identity changes like candy. Every kid, it's a whole new identity. That's another stress on our plate. I love my kids. I got three. They're young, 8, 7, and 4. But then my two girls are so different than my boy. When I got my boy, I was like, man, this is a whole nother world. I'm a boy mom now. Like, what do I do with this? I gotta feed it and I gotta love it. But that kid was probably the only kid that I got teary-eyed whenever they handed him, oh, my baby. Girls, I was like, these are the best creatures on the whole planet. They're amazing. But again, you've got a different identity, different phases of life, identity. But you're holding all of those things in your body and what you communicate. And your DNA is going to respond to those things. It's your genes. Why do some genes, people talk about hereditary diseases. You get certain genes that turn on and turn off. Well, why do some turn on and turn off through situations, but not others? It doesn't make sense. And if nobody in the family has that, why am I the only one that's got that? Well, because your DNA is responding to your cells, what you're eating, the environment you're giving it, the thoughts, and then how are you feeding it mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually? All those things play into it and it formulates you, who you are. Same thing that happens in utero. If there's parents, you're taking on your parents' emotions because that's part of what's being made in utero. So you're taking that DNA from it and you've adopted it now for you. Well, you get to go out, you get to do with it what you will, keep it, change it, whatever. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, that is so crazy. It's so intrinsic. And I think that, there's people are all caught up in calories in versus calories out, good food and bad food and all of that. But truly, like, to achieve a long-term body composition change and to achieve a healthy lifestyle goes into these layers and into the mindset work. I just had a conversation with someone last week where that was all we talked about was mindset. It doesn't matter the food, your mind is what matters.
Yeah, you cannot out exercise or out diet a poor mindset or
Mhm.
emotional trauma that you refuse or that you refuse to work through or release and let go. And
Right.
some people become their identity is to their trauma. I think some of mine, it was like, well, if I let go of this, then who's gonna, how do I get to be the trauma healer for these things? When I just started my healing journey, how do I get to do this? People aren't gonna look at me if I don't have trauma. That's part of the past. That's not who I am. That is
Right.
just the experiences. Here's how we get past that.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. And that goes for so many things. I see that sometimes with injuries, like people won't do things because I have a back injury. No, you don't. You had a back injury 10 years ago. Like you're not living in that space. But letting go of it can be challenging. What are ways that would help someone in letting go of trauma?
So number one, grounding yourself. And I don't mean walk around outside with the socks and shoes on or without socks and shoes on. I don't mean just lay there and meditate in stillness and silence. A lot of my ladies can't. I work with a lot of high achievers. They're female business owners, business professional women. Their head hits the pillow at night and they're already like, their mind is racing. So when it comes to those things, you have to learn how to regulate your nervous system in real time. The second, and what goes into that is it's not a take a deep breath, pause before you speak. Sometimes none of that shit works in the moment. You're ready to react, you're ready to respond in certain ways. But I tell my clients, and I'll give you a tip, and what I tell my clients, everything goes into a bubble. I do this to my kids. When my kids like, what if somebody's words hurt me? And I'm like, bruh, it goes in the bubble. We have this invisible bubble that is in front of us. When words come in that people say, they all just imagine those words going into the bubble. The beauty behind this bubble, it's your bubble. You get to decipher, well, I'm going to pull out that word. You said this. What do you mean about this? What does that mean to you? Always ask questions. That helps somebody stay more grounded, not reacted. Because
Mhm.
you're just letting them explain whatever they meant by it. Did you mean to hurt me? Or were you trying to communicate something that did hurt you that I said? And we're just having a communication issue. Staying grounded, staying calm, it's regulating in the moment. Another thing is, oh, I just lost my train of thought. What was the question?
Oh, how to let go of some of the trauma.
Okay, let go and release.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain just
Okay,
went
good.
squirrel.
Oh, I know it does that. Because you're talking and you're like, oh, we can go down this trail, but
Yeah,
we
that's exactly where I was. I was like, this wrong spot. She said this. So staying grounded in the moment. The second thing is also reflecting on your word bank, right? Not just your bubble, but your word bank, your body. It is that mind body connection where your brain and your body are in balance. That's another key thing. Because if you can, typically, when we get frustrated, we're in conversation with somebody, a conflict arises, somebody says something, we're getting tight and tense, we're bracing for impact. So your body is going to feel that tenseness. You're going to feel that heart racing. You're going to feel your mind ready to answer, not even listening to what they're saying. You're trying to interpret, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? So one of the things that you can do is soften. A lot of times I'll tell my clients, practice these words. What does soft mean, feel, and look like? Soft. You say that, and you're going to find different areas of your body that just kind of softens. Maybe you realize your hands were on the steering wheel a little too hard. Well, that's not going to be good whenever you're driving because you're going to be whipping. Where if you soften, oh, I can be a little bit more fluid in my movement, right? So there's soft, slow, reflect. Take a moment to pause if you need to. And then another thing, whenever it comes to releasing, like something that I work on with my clients, number one, you're always going to feel whenever you have a release. You're going to just know and feel everything in life is different. So, what I tell my clients, we have onions, all right? Delicious, right? Onions. They're trauma onions and they build layers. All these layers we have to start unpacking to get to the root, right? That's the center because you pull back a layer, boom, another trauma, boom, it resets, it re-triggers. So anytime there's a trigger, again, pay attention to your body, take a moment to regulate in real time, pause, slow down. Whether it's slow down your talking, whether it's slow down your movement, whether it's slow down your thinking, pause. That is another thing to help you to also regulate in real time, but it gives you that ability to catch a moment, really identify what is going on around me. What is this? Am I in danger? Am I dying? What colors do I see? Start pinpointing the colors of the rainbow. Here's red, here's green, here's whatever. Pick those things and it brings you back into that present moment. So presence equals power.
Mhm. No, that's so true. And that goes, we coach a lot of mindfulness. And if you're not present, you can never be mindful.
Nope. You're always living in the past or you're living in the future.
Right. That's so true. So I see like how, yes, this definitely pertains to trauma, but even you could take, your scenario you just described with the onion and apply that to why am I standing in the pantry looking for something to eat?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
because like 9 times out of 10, you are not hungry. There is something else. So if you can pause and dig down and determine why you are standing there looking for something you don't need, you can start to change that behavior.
Yep. So on that note, you can pay attention to what your cravings are. Cravings mean things. There's emotional meaning behind cravings.
Mhm.
So if you're looking for something sweet, then we need to look at, are we searching for safety? Are we trying to find emotional safety? Or is it intimacy? Maybe you're the type of person who just does not like physical touch. Maybe you got kids on you all the time. You're like, I just need my space. But yet the inside of you is craving for a different kind of intimacy that you haven't filled that tank for. It may not be sexual intimacy, but maybe it's a gentle touch. Maybe it's a, hey, can you play with my hair? And I tell my kids, I'm like, you want to play with mommy's hair? No, not really. Okay, thanks. Thanks for loving me for a moment. But when they come to me, mommy, can you play with my hair? Mommy, can you just love me? Yes, because there's a different meaning behind that. And I'll ask them, when you say you're hungry, like, what are you really hungry for? What are you craving? Sweets are going to be more of that gentleness, that delicacy, that safety, that calming, soothing, comfortability piece. And it could be where 10 minutes prior they were thinking about the most traumatic thing or the most triggering thing that was in their mind. Had a client one time, we were in a session, and she was like, she was cooking steak and she smelled it in the microwave. She was warming up leftovers. And she said, but that smell triggered a memory. So I was like, okay, well, explain to me what the memory was. And she's telling me how it was, her dad used to cook steak. She remembered that, but that's not where the memory went. In fact, the memory went to some more safe places for her. So she started listing these things out. And I said, well, what are some negative memories that maybe you've had with steak? Oh, my ex used to cook steak. This person did that. And it was just like always frustrating moments. And I said, so your brain could have picked either one, right? She's like, yeah. And I said, but it sounds like it was searching for safety. So it put you in a place of safety. What'd you do after that? And she was like, I texted my sister and I was talking to her. Hey, you remember whenever we used to do this and da 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 da. There's that connection there. There's that bridge. If you're on the opposite side of the spectrum, maybe you're a little frustrated. Today was an awful day. Da 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 da. You're gonna go for more crunchy things. You got some resentment. We got some grit. We need to munch down on stuff because we're holding tension all up in here, right? Burdens. We carry burdens, responsibilities, roles, duties, all here. And it affects all of this. So if you got TMJ issues, 9 times out of 10, you've been swallowing back what you need to say. You're not speaking your truth, and you're living in a lot of resentment for that. So you're munching, munching, munching. If it's salty, it's the same concept. Are you feeling salty? Like, it's a good self reflection. There's so many things that go into it, but cravings are driven by emotions. And it could be a matter of seconds, and that could be where it changes your insulin, it changes your cortisol, depending on the response. Your body is going to respond to that as well.
Right. Oh yeah, 100%. And I was wondering, so like we do see cravings, and I'm sure you've seen this too, where there is, adrenal dysregulation or where there is a nutrient imbalance that's causing excessive PMS. But does this link back to trauma, or is it purely at face value, like, hey, you have a nutrient deficiency?
So it depends. If you go to take the supplement or you go to try to increase it, from the nutrient deficiency, the number one question I ask is, well, why is it that one thing? So, like, let's say magnesium. Why is it just magnesium? How's the rest of your day? How's your life? What kind of burdens are you carrying? But if you look at it from that perspective and you've taken magnesium, I've done all the things, nothing's working. Well, then why don't we trace this a little bit deeper? Can it absolutely be satisfied from something in your diet? Yes. There are clients that come through, we shift a little bit of their nutrition. Oh my God, I don't have these cravings anymore. Awesome. Later down the road, they're still eating these things, they have no deficiencies. And then, boom, now we're struggling. It appears as if this nutrient, and this nutrient might be low, but maybe your labs look normal. Maybe, you're really not showing any other signs or symptoms of these things being deficient. This is where we would go to the emotional side. And really and truly, the work that I do with my clients, we start with nutrition because it's like, let's just clean up the junk that you've been doing. Let's start with the baseline. And most of my clients are already doing those things, but we might tighten it up a little bit or add something you didn't think of. But the emotion work is where literally the bread and butter is. I can tell you, most of my clients who come to me for nutrition, they spend like 3 weeks finagling the little baseline things, and the rest of the time it's all emotion because there's so much here to unpack. And what's crazy is that when you're healing, you're also balancing your nutrients. When you're healing, you're going to be craving healthier things because that's what your body's searching for. So we look at nervous system nourishment is what I call it because we don't do counting calories or anything like this. I'm not about that. But we look at nervous system nourishment. If you're feeling this, eat this. If you're struggling with this, eat this because your body is still searching for those cues. If you're revved up, you want things that are going to be a little bit cooling. Maybe go eat some cool watermelon or whatever. If you're cold and frigid and stuck in freeze mode, maybe go drink some warm broth or do warm soup later, whatever the case is. Do something that's warming because it's going to help to balance those things out. Does it work every time? No, because there's always a deeper root, usually, that comes into play. But those are some good tools that you can keep in your toolbox for those moments.
Right. Right. And no, that makes so much sense. Because if you are cleaning up baseline nutrition and you are getting in the micronutrients and phytonutrients, you're going to see improvement in how your body functions. But if there is still a deeper cause, which with most women, there's going to be a deeper cause, like just there's too much there's just too much. And I don't believe that therapy is as accessible as it should be. Most women don't have a good support system, and just lack of education in general.
Well, and nobody's teaching these things. You don't go to your doctor to learn all these things.
No, you can't even go to your doctor to get proper hormone support, for Pete's
No.
sake.
But we don't need to run those tests. What do you mean? Tell that person they're crazy. No, because it's going to find answers.
Yeah, yeah, because then maybe you won't need to be on antidepressants and blood pressure medication. You can just, have hormone support. God
Look,
forbid.
I always say that the healthcare system is not about health, they're about sick because they make money when you're sick. So they can keep you sick, you'll keep coming back.
Right. Right. That's so true. And the amount of prescriptions that that women receive once they start going through perimenopause is just ridiculous. I mean, first you're on birth control for 20 to 40 years of your life.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then you can just have blood pressure medication and anxiety medication and depression medication and sleeping medication, and then we'll give you anti-acid medication. But
Oh
but
yeah, there's a
then
pill for everything.
yeah.
It's crazy. I remember one time I was talking to somebody and I said, it would be amazing if a doctor would literally, the first thing that they would ask you is, how's your stress? How's your life? Like, what's going on in your day-to-day world? How'd you grow up? How can I support you? Like, I think 99% of things would settle down.
Yeah,
They heal themselves.
right. Yeah, well, that's true, but I think there's too such a big lack of awareness. Like we can see because of how we live and what we've learned when someone is dealing with a lot of stress between what they're putting into their body, what they're expecting out of their body every day, and then all of the other responsibilities that have to be done every day. And I don't think that a lot of people notice or maybe recognize how much stress that is.
Yes. Well, that's like your typical people who are like my ladies, high achieving women. They
Yeah.
got they've either got 9 to 5s or they're running their own business. And that in of itself is a lot of responsibility. But oh, I operate well under pressure. I'm not stressed. I don't feel like I'm stressed. I feel like I'm good. Okay, what is your body saying? because if symptoms are showing up, or you're going to bed with a racing mind, waking up at 2 a.m., writing down your to-do list, or hey, did you forget to put the clothes in the dryer? Did you walk into that room and literally forget what the heck you were there for? Did you literally mid-sentence stop and be like, squirrel, I'm going to go over here for 5 seconds? That's when you sit down and you look at it, just like I just did. You look at it and you're like, hey, what else is going on here? Like there's other that's when you can literally tell there's more here to it than just I operate well under pressure.
Mhm.
Clearly, your body doesn't, your mind doesn't. And when those symptoms start screaming, you're literally stuck at that point. You have no other option but to listen. You'll either go to your doctor, you'll get more meds that are actually going to make you worse over time, or you're going to start responding in a different way.
Right. No, that is exactly it. It would be fantastic if we could learn to listen before we get to that point.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, good news. I have an example for that.
What you got?
So my signals from the inside is all about decoding some of your body's symptoms. So it's not all of them, but I have decoded some of them. That way it is bringing that awareness. It's bringing that guiding sense in there to say, hey, something's not right. How do I fix this? We talk about the different types of stress. We talk about what your body holds on to and where, and what do we do? How do we heal this? Because if you've got a starting point and you've got awareness, you've got education around it, you can't unsee it at that point. So then it gives you the empowering piece to be able to go out and now fix it and solve it for good.
That is amazing. Is that the signal link you sent me?
Yes, that's the signals from the inside. Yes.
We have quite a few people that are watching on Facebook. So if you are on Facebook and you have any questions you want to ask, go ahead and drop it into the chat. I am going to drop the link for the product that Maisie was just talking about on how you can decode those signals. If I could spell, I'm going to.
Technology at its
It's good. It's good. All right. So that's a product they can just click the link and then be able to like kind of self-assess.
well, they'll click the link and then it'll ask for your name and your email, and then you'll get it sent to you. So it'll be like a Google Doc that you'll be able to have and keep with you.
Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. And then I know we've talked prior a little bit about so that they would have this document that would be a helpful resource for them. But what if they wanted to, dive in a little bit deeper? I know you have a couple options.
Yes, I do. So if you want to dive deeper after even getting the signals from the inside, or you're like, hey, Mace, skip the signals, what do we do? There's two different options that you have. Typically, what I tell people is we can start with a hidden stress mapping session. So maybe you want to get your toes in the water, taste test the waters for a little bit, just kind of see where you're at. A hidden stress mapping session is going to be the best thing that we can do. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at we'll scan your body, organ systems, functions, all those things, and really identify what are the stories and the patterns, the emotional trauma that your body's holding on to. Now, this is not about reliving experiences, because that is not how we have to heal trauma. You do not have to sit here and talk about your things all over and re-experience those painful memories. It is literally about identifying what are the roots behind that. So we're pinpointing the root ties and we're unveiling the patterns that come into play. And so from there, if you're like, oh my God, this was amazing. How do we do this moving forward? Now, how do we like forever get rid of these trauma onions? Then we look at Regulate and Rise, which is my nervous system reset and recalibration program. It's a trauma healing program. So you and I are working together privately, one-on-one, so that way we can heal the trauma and and reverse the symptoms, give you that symptom relief and be able to reverse that from the inside out. And you'll see, even in labs, you'll start to see your labs change if you have abnormal labs. So typically that's what happens. You start to feel better. Look at nourishment, which is what Clarissa is going to do for you. And then from there, we're just healing the emotions and everything else that come into play so that you can live confident, calm, grounded, peaceful, present, powerful, be the woman, the mom, the wife that you've always wanted to be.
No, that is amazing. And it's just so it's just so amazing that I don't like to use the same word twice, but it really is that you can, see so much positive change simply by working on past traumas.
Yes. And I will tell you this, my clients will literally elevate very fast. If you are
Mhm.
a business owner or even a business professional woman, you're trying to move up the corporate ladder, you're trying to make more money, I will tell you it is a ripple effect. My clients come in, we come in for trauma, and literally their lives transform. Some have left abusive relationships. Some have, they've gotten the courage and the strength to do that. Others have repaired their marriages just by being calmer, more grounded, confident. It's them because their husband's like, oh my God, this woman's resurrected, and it brings back that relationship as well. There's been women who have like doubled and tripled their income in a short amount of time. I'm like, hey, I'm here for it. Whatever the universe brings you, let's make it happen. So it will ripple effect everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because you're living as your authentic self, not like a damaged portion of yourself.
Yes. You are the upgrade.
Yes, that's so true. All right. If you are watching the replay on Facebook, I did pin into the chat the link for Maisie's Regulate and Rise program. Otherwise, inside of the chat is the link for like the self-diagnosis signals.
And look, I'll give you if you guys want to do a stress mapping session,
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we
um,
can grab that one too.
and that way you can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to like, I want to get my toes wet first. There you go.
All right, so stress mapping. Uh,
And there's no pressure for any of this. This is all about clarity. This is just about having clarity and having the right direction. Again, a plan that balances your mind and your body.
yes, and having clarity is amazing because if you don't have clarity, like your whole life is just kind of not going to function very optimally.
The racing mind, the brain fog.
That's true. That's true. And being distracted and not being able to make a decision.
Yep. That
Mm,
freeze mode. It all happens.
absolutely. All right. Well, I don't have any questions from anyone watching. We have a lot watching, so thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you.
Um, there's a couple of positive comments as far as like people sharing things that have helped them with reducing stress as far as meal timing and shutting off outside distractions. So that is positive to note as well. Anything that we didn't cover today, Maisie?
I don't think so. I think we got it.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching the replay and you have questions, just go ahead and drop them. We'll always get back to you. But thank you again for your time today, Maisie. I really, truly appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.